February 12, 1963, 12:40 p.m. A Northwest Orient Airlines Boeing 720-051B just landed at Miami Airport from Chicago. Now he will have to perform Flight 705 from Miami to Portland with intermediate landings in Chicago, Spokane, Seattle. "43 people are on board, 35 passengers and 8 crew members. Replaced by a new crew consisting of Captain 47-year-old Roy M. Omquist, a very experienced pilot who has flown 17,835 hours, but only 150 of them on a Boeing 720B. Co-pilot 38-year-old Robert J. Feller, who flew 11,799 hours, and 1093 of them on a Boeing 720B. Flight engineer 29-year-old Alan R. Friesen, with a total flight time of 4,852 hours. 5 flight attendants work in the cabin. The flight was operated on a Boeing 720-051B whose age was 1 year and 7 months. But during this time, 2 rather serious incidents occurred with the plane. The first incident occurred on January 26, 1962, when the right main landing gear broke while landing at Fort Lauderdale Airport on a short runway. As a result, due to impact on the ground, the flaps and fuselage in the area of the right pillar, as well as the engine nacelles of both right engines, were damaged. The second incident occurred when the aircraft's right wing edge collided with a flock of birds during landing. Despite this, the airliner has been repaired and is ready to fly. At 13:35, Flight NW705 took off from Miami from runway 27 left, after which, being under radar control, it made a left turn to the southeast sector. Further, guided by the radar vectors received from the Miami control controller, the pilots began to bypass areas with the expected turbulence caused by the presence of a thunderstorm in the area. Following at an altitude of 5,000 feet on a course of 300 degrees, the crew requested permission to climb.
Miami Control, occupied 4,921 feet, allowed dialing until 24,934 feet, Northwest 705.
Northwest 705, rise to a height of 24,934 feet clear.
At 13:43, the dispatcher gave the command to ascend. In response, the aircraft reported that the left turn was 30 degrees and the ascent was completed. At 13:45, Flight 705 was instructed to transfer to Miami Air Traffic Control.
Northwest 705, take course 360.
Took course 360, Northwest 705.
At 13:47, the center in Miami requested Flight 705 for its location and altitude. The co-pilot replied that they had just cleared 17,500 feet and were 1 mile from the DME beacon. It was the last radio message from the aircraft. According to the parametric recorder, the airliner encountered severe turbulence lasting 3 minutes 5 minutes after takeoff. Also in the course of the ascent, a right turn to the course of 320 degrees was made. When the crew reported passing 17,500 feet, the aircraft was climbing at a vertical speed of 77 knots. Flight 705 then reached a maximum altitude of 19,284 feet at 13:47, but in the process its airspeed dropped from 269 knots to 214. G-force quickly changed from positive to negative and reached -2.8 G in 7 seconds. Following the course of 330 degrees, the plane abruptly went into a dive. One of the witnesses heard an explosion in the sky, and when he turned in that direction, he saw an orange fireball appear on the edge of the cloud, which, leaving a striped trail, rushed down and disappeared behind the trees. This was an airliner in the process of descending went into supercritical speed, after which, due to overloads, parts of the wing and tail were torn off, and then the fuselage began to collapse. At 1350, Flight NW705 crashed into the Everglades Swamp, 36 miles southwest of Miami Airport. The crash of Flight 705 claimed the lives of all 43 people on board. At that time, it was the largest crash of a Boeing 720 aircraft, until after 2 years it was almost tripled by the crash near Cairo, and also with Flight 705. Based on the results of the investigation into the causes of the disaster, the Commission came to the following conclusions. Several factors led to the disaster, especially the high turbulence and the characteristics of the aircraft. Once in a powerful vertical updraft, the aircraft went into a rapid climb with a decrease in airspeed. The pilots deflected the controls forward, away from themselves, in order to increase the airspeed again by reducing the angle of elevation of the nose and reducing the vertical speed. However, the airliner had already lost stability due to turbulence, so it reacted to the action of the pilots by quickly lowering its nose and going into a steep dive, during which it reached its tensile strength and collapsed in the air from overloads. According to research by the aircraft manufacturer, Boeing, the crew could have had time to regain control of the aircraft and bring the aircraft out of a dive. But according to the investigators, in the current situation it was no longer possible. It cannot be ruled out that the pilots did not do everything possible to save the aircraft and people. In the final report of the investigation, the cause of the crash of Flight NW705 was called a combination of severe turbulence, falling into a powerful updraft and a strong displacement of the controls, as a result of which the aircraft lost longitudinal stability out of control, which the crew simply did not have time to recover.